Hi, welcome to another video on my Raspberry Pi 2 using Ubuntu, Linux and ROS, the robot operating system. Last time I found that I had a hard time implementing something with the int32 multi-array, and following an example on the internet I decided to create a ROS message so I can use this structure and publish numbers. However, that didn't go well, and I decided to take another look, and I made a slight mistake. Well, slight mistakes can have huge consequences, and in this case I had to change in the message, because this is the message which I'm using here, and I found that it had to be data instead of A, so I am assigning the message to A and not A to A. Anyway, this should be. Now the question is, of course, will this work? So I'm going back here and going back here. So oops, I need to be with the subscriber, but also with the publisher. So this is the publisher and the subscriber. So let's see what happens. And this is something I did forget as well. I have to run the ROS core. So I will end this one. And the ampersand is meaning that it will be running in the background. So now it runs. I'm starting RaspberryPi publisher, and once again it says num is not defined, which I find now very odd. And this has no use. Running it, although it is fine now, the master is running, but once again num is not defined, and num is certainly defined. That means that I'm going to do something else. I am going to remove this from my source code. And what shall I do here? Because I should actually put something in it, and I'm using let me use int32. Not a clue if this is going to help, but I'm going to try anyway. So this is one. int32 is not defined. That is Python. It goes from here to here, and wherever it finds a problem it takes it. So let me use capitals. This is going to be very strange in my opinion, but maybe. Okay, I clearly need to find something else, because here I need to do something, but it's using a message with, as you can see, int32 array Maybe I do need an array here. I'm not quite sure though. I will find out. Back to research. Finding some info reveals that I can use ROS message show to find out if the message I created is can actually be used, and it turns out that it says unable to load. Oops. Unable to load, invalid name. So I am here in the directory and it shows num message. I am going to rename it to number.msg, and I'm letting the rest intact. So there it is. It shows exactly the same. I just renamed it. So with that I am going to say, okay, do you know this name? And it still says invalid name. So here's a problem, and of course I should be using something like however, this is a string, and let me put this one here. So I am inclined to say, okay, in 32 something. I know it says it doesn't know it, but my guess is it's because of this. I'm not quite sure. Who knows? This is still finding out, but I'm worried about this one. So what is an invalid name? What isn't? I can do something else. I can completely follow the example, which means that I will rename again and say intlist.msg. Now will it? No, this one. It still says invalid name, so I am probably doing something very wrong. The question is what? Because if I look here, source is there, and from here, source, I am looking in the correct place. So the question is, why is it not working for me while it is working in the example? So there are two places that are currently in question. Why does this not work? This is directly to do with being unable to load the message because of some invalid name, and this I have to have correct, of course. So let me first, since this is not working either, I'm going back to my first idea. So that is one. And what conditions are there for a name? Why is it causing an invalid name? I will find out. So I've been trying to solve the problem that I have with my num message. I have solved some of it, but not everything. So while the finding of the message was successful, I did not yet find the reason why the name num is not defined. I will have to use this somehow. From num message import star, but that does not find my message. So I have for now decided to exclude it, and that means that I also have to exclude this for now. So I will have to do with this and then this one too, because this all depends on each other. What I did do in the meantime as well is, since this is a Raspberry Pi, I want to use the GPIO, the general purpose input output. For that reason I have installed RPI.GPIO, and if you have watched my earlier Raspberry Pi videos on LEDs, etc., etc., you may be it may sound familiar. So what I have done is making a small electrical circuit on a breadboard, and a small piece of code. In the past I just put some code here and it worked. However, that principle I've let to go, because here there's a name for the main and a try. So first it calls talker, which is defined here, and now I have defined a procedure, a definition, electro, which is this one, and this one sets the mode to GPIO board, which I could, by the way, put here as well. Same thing for this. I could use this, I could put this outside, but let me for now do this. Then as I will show you on the camera in a while, I test for the input of port 11 to be 1, and then I'll print 1 on screen, and the same for if it is 0, and then it should be working like that. So let me first see if this is actually going to work. And it says invalid syntax. Yes, it is an invalid syntax because I forgot the colon. So this is running, and so far it doesn't do anything, it just prints. And let me see what I actually do. This is the publisher, so that is correct, which means that I can also let me quit this. Yes, and here the subscriber is going. However, I'm more interested in what the switch does. So let me go to the camera and show you how that is going on. So on this breadboard I have connected a motor and this switch. The switch is connected to the plus, the minus or the ground via resistor, and a signal, and the signal goes to this flat cable, and let me show you the flat cable a little bit better. And this motor is connected to the power, and I can just as easily put it here. Then you see that the motor is running, but it is not connected to the switch yet, and I could easily put the switch in here, after which I should get output from or result on the monitor or on the terminal, which I unfortunately do not see. So I suppose I am missing out something. And that could be that I miss out here. So let me count. This is the power. Then we get 1, 2, 3. No, this is 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and this is 11. So this should be alright. What I could also do is put this to 3.3 volts. So let me see if the 3.3 volts still powers the motor. Yes, it does, but remarkably softer or slower, to be correct. And let's see if this works. No, there's no result on the monitor either from this. So I may have made a thinking mistake in this. On the other hand, there's a problem in thinking either as well, because this should be then the signal, and the signal from the the switch should be then in here. So let me see how that works. I will have to think it over. That's one thing that's clear. And I know what I forget to do. The Raspberry Pi needs also a resistor. So I probably should put it in there. Let me find out before something really goes wrong, but you get the picture from this, what I'm trying to accomplish. So let's get back to the code.
So since I didn't get any output yet from the breadboard, I can test one other thing to find if this is actually working, or that it is actually accessing this electrodev. Is print electro. Oops. Then I will know if something works. That said, I will have to put here a GPIO cleanup. So that the whole GPIO gets cleared when I'm done. So that is one thing. And this is nice. GPIO board, try running as root. That's a good one. So that may have been the cause that it doesn't work. But first, let me try to get this, so I'm sure that electro is accessed, although this already indicates that it is being accessed. This one. So let's first run this. That does not do anything. So let's run it as root, or more appropriately sudo. And then it says command not found ROS run. Oh, that's a nice one, because this is run without a problem. So this means two things. One, I can't apparently run this like I would like to. Until it does work, apparently, but apart from the problem that I do have with this, that gives another complication. So let's see how to find that solution. The best way to use this is putting this outside the dev. Keeping this in. Then let's try just without a sudo. No access to dev mem. Yes, try running as root. I know. It is the first line it encounters, so that's one thing. But for the other thing, why doesn't ROS run work without root or with root? That's a very good question. ROS run command not found. Where is ROS run anyway? That's a good question. Something more to investigate. Where is it? So let's use just this is the location of ROS run, and if I use sudo, it uses totally different path, and that is the whole problem. So maybe if I say ROS-spec command not found, it gets better and better. So this looks like I cannot use the GPIO and ROS together, and I refuse to accept that. I simply refuse to. So how to go on from this? First, apparently this works well. It has no problem with this. Or let's see what does happen. The exact thing. This is the first it complains about. It doesn't even complain about this. While when I set this in here, you've seen, let me just for a moment put this back. And then it will complain about another line. Which it doesn't. It does not complain anymore. On the other hand, it does not print electro. But only when I stop it says it can't, no access. So that's something I don't like. It doesn't complain anyway. So we don't know. Alright. Let's conclude this video. So, things to consider and to improve. First of all, how to find my own created message in order to publish a string of numbers, so I can actually listen to them via ROS. And how do I access this without a problem using ROS and the GPIO? And for just a very small test, and quick and dirty test, I keep everything out. What does it do? It doesn't do a thing. It doesn't do a thing because I would have expected print electro somewhere, and even that I don't see in the lines. So unfortunately that does not work for some reason. Why? Can't tell, have to find out. So this is the end for this episode. Thank you for watching. If you like my videos or this video or any other video of mine, please consider subscribing if you haven't subscribed to my channel already. If you like my videos, please consider to allow advertisements in between the video segments to support my blog. If you don't want to do that, please see my website, which is listed under this video, for another way of supporting my blog. And for the rest, thank you for watching, and this is to be continued.